The hunt for the killer or killers of Charlie Kirk, a prominent right-wing activist who was a close ally of President Trump, is continuing. It's after he was shot dead at a university campus on Wednesday while he was speaking at an event in Utah. Earlier, one person was detained, but they were released after being questioned. No one's currently in custody. Mr. Kirk had been taking part in an outdoor debate at the university in Utah when he was killed by a single bullet. He was an outspoken supporter of President Trump, someone who was part of his inner circle, and was credited with helping the Republicans rally their youth vote. President Trump has described Mr. Kirk as a martyr for truth and freedom, and the president blamed what he described as the radical left for fostering a climate of political violence. He said the shooting was a dark moment for America. Well, footage from the shooting has been posted on social media showing the incident on campus. Well, we've paused the video at the moment that gunfire was heard before crowds scattered. Officials believe the shot may have been fired from a roof. Our North America correspondent Neda Tawfiq is at the university and she updated us on that situation there.
Orem police tell me that they are very much still investigating the campus, and we have seen police cars kind of patrolling and going across campus. You'll see perhaps behind me some cars that were left here when people were trying to flee to safety because earlier police were escorting people off of campus, so some have been returning to collect their belongings to get back their cars. But at the moment, it doesn't seem yet as if there's a massive breakthrough in this case. This intense manhunt is still underway. We were told earlier that authorities were going door to door to ask residents for any tips, because while there were two people of interest, as the authorities called them, that were questioned and then released, they do not yet have a suspect in custody. Remember, authorities say that they are going through security footage, which is very grainy. They believe the suspect was wearing all dark clothing and likely fired that single fatal shot from a rooftop near where Charlie Kirk was under that tent. So they are doing their best to get the suspect in custody. But at the moment here in the community, we've seen some vigils pop up at the hospital where Charlie Kirk was pronounced dead. But people are still really just coming to terms with the fact that they say their small town is now the scene of what many find to be an incredibly gruesome and shocking act of political violence. Very interesting, because in the immediate aftermath, we saw both Democrats, Republicans, all the former living presidents put out statements, really heartfelt statements to Charlie Kirk's family, his wife, his two young children, just 1 and 3 years old. And they really expressed the need for disagreements not to devolve into violence, saying that that was really anathema to the American spirit of open debate and free speech. And yet, very quickly after that, we did see some familiar divisions in the U.S. House of Representatives after a moment of silence was held for Charlie Kirk. Then we saw a blame game break out, chaos on the floor between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats feeling a Republican call to have a prayer out loud was politicizing the issue, calling for, gun control measures in place. Republicans blaming the violence on Democrats. And indeed, after an initial post from Donald Trump praising Charlie Kirk as legendary, he then posted a video where he appeared far angrier in tone, saying that it was the left-wing rhetoric that led to not only, he said, the attempted assassination against him, but the death of Charlie Kirk. But what was notable was that he didn't mention any of the recent attacks against Democrats. And so many are now questioning if, looking back years forward, this will be one of those moments where it feels like the country did tip into even more dangerous division. Charlie Kirk dropped out of college to focus on his organization, Turning Point USA. And essentially, the goal was to spread conservative Christian religious values to youth across the country to re-energize the conservative youth movement. And he actually became one of the most influential voices in MAGA. He wasn't tied to the old Republican establishment. He got in very close with the Donald Trump family, Don Jr., his son. He had an incredible reach on social media. In fact, his podcast was in the top 10 consistently on Apple's charts. And he took that reach and really came to campuses. He was known for going to campuses and having these open debates, the segment called Prove Me Wrong, wanting to speak to not just conservatives but liberals to challenge different viewpoints. And it was interesting to see in statements today from the Vice President, J.D. Vance, he credited Charlie Kirk with, and along with Donald Trump, with turning out the youth vote and helping Donald Trump take back the White House. In fact, J.D. Vance, the Vice President, said that it wasn't their campaign events that were effective, that Turning Point's events were the most effective. So it just gives you a glimpse into how many across the conservative movement viewed him. Even J.D. Vance saying he helped select many in the Trump administration. It helped fill those appointments with people he thought could move Donald Trump's movement forward.